Police in California plan to use drones to enforce quarantine lockdown. The drones will be equipped with cameras and loudspeakers to enforce the recently imposed quarantine, John Vibes reports. This is what's happening in Europe as well. Now, in the months since the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic began, governments around the world have been utilizing a wide range of technological devices to enforce quarantines. Advanced surveillance and tracking have been made possible by cell phone data, CCTV cameras, and drones. The surveillance drones were used during the lockdown in China to monitor neighborhoods to ensure that residents were staying indoors. Drones were also used to spray disinfectants during the outbreak as well. The World Health Organization has urged additional governments to use similar tactics to enforce quarantines. Police in Spain have been using drones to patrol the streets and order citizens to stay home during the lockdown. Most Americans now doubted that these types of measures would happen at home, but police in California have already announced the plan to use drones equipped with cameras and loudspeakers to enforce the recently imposed quarantine orders. In Chula Vista, a town just outside of San Diego, police purchased at least 2 drones from the Chinese company DJI for $11,000 each. Vern Sally, one of the city's police captains, told Financial Times that the drones could be used to disperse crowds, quote unquote, without the need for a human officer to be involved. He said, "We have no traditionally mounted speakers to our drones, but if we need to cover a large area to get an announcement out, or if there were a crowd somewhere that needed to be dispersed, we could do it without getting police officers involved." He said, "The outbreak has changed my view of expanding the program as rapidly as I can." Sally also suggested that the drones could be used to give homeless people updates or orders about the pandemic, since many of them may not have access to the internet, of course, and may be unaware of the current situation. He said, "We need to tell them. We actually have resources for them. They are vulnerable right now. It might be impractical or unsafe for our officers to be put into those areas." Spencer Gore, the chief executive of Impossible Aerospace, a California-based maker of high-performance drones used by first responders, admitted that the idea, quote, "seems a little Orwellian," end quote, but insisted that it could save lives. He said, "What we see in China and what we're probably going to see, what we saw in China and probably going to see around the world, is using drones with cameras and loudspeakers to fly around to see if people are gathering where they should not be and telling them to go home," he said. This is by John Vibes, Mind Unleashed Creative Commons. Now, I live in Athens, Greece. I just ran out to get some stuff because we're going to be in lockdown for 2 weeks. And I'll tell you what's going on here, and you may be astonished. But as of 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, we are not allowed to leave our homes unless we have our ID with us and a written permit from the government. How do we get that written permit? We're supposed to get in touch with, send a message to the government in a website that they have. And there are 2 types of forms you fill out. You fill out Form A if you're an employee and you have to get to your job and back. And you fill out Form B if you're right now unemployed or told to stay at home and you don't have to go to your work every day. And that's type B, and you have to fill that out telling them where you're going to go. Every time you go, and this will have to be filled out every time you go out. Whereas if you're an employee going to work, you fill it out once. But type B, you fill out every day, every time you have to go out, you have to fill it out, telling them what time you want to leave your house, where exactly you will be going, what you're going to do there, and what time you expect to be back. Okay? So let's say you want to go out to go grocery shopping, to the bank, to the pharmacy, where else? I don't know. To the fish market. You know, sometimes you don't have all the things in the supermarket. You maybe want to go to some special areas, special stores. You have to list that down, and they have to give you an okay before you leave your house. Of course, you can have your deliveries brought to you. Thank goodness. I mean, you can have an order put into the supermarket, and it may take 5 or 6 days or a week to get to you, but it'll get to you. And you don't have to leave your house. You can do that, by paying through your bank account and everything. And I ran out now. I ran out tonight. The streets were full of cars. First of all, it was like a traffic jam because people were trying to get things before the curfew that starts 6 o'clock in the morning. And you cannot leave your house, otherwise you're going to get a fine of I don't know how many thousands of euros. You will be fined. You have to pay through your nose if you're out in the street and you don't have your permit. Okay, you have to have your ID and your permit from the government. No excuses. So that's the condition here in Greece, the whole of Greece, not just Athens. You have to have a government paper printed for every time you go out. So that's the situation here. It's serious because you've got to get rid of this thing. Just like China got rid of it or somehow says it got rid of it. I wouldn't trust them, but anyway, that's what they say. This has to be done. There's no two ways about it. I used to be a biology major. I was pre-med, but I didn't make it. And this is the only way to get rid of it. You have to stay in place until cut it off that way. Just stop it. Stop going out so you don't get infected, and that way it'll sort of die out. Okay, so I'll leave links below for you for this. Take care of each other. God bless you. And please pray for this to finish without any more, as painlessly as possible. Okay, God bless you, and thank you for your support. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.